Hello, welcome to Revive Hi-Fi Canada, and this is the latest episode where we talk about the Polk RTiA3. And the first thing I gotta say about these is that I really like them, and they sound very enjoyable. They're a very nice listen, and I like them. I like many speakers that I try here, but there are some, of course, some caveats. Of course, these speakers are very well made. I got to start out by saying that they appear to have a port on the front, so they have very easy placement in a corner. But they also have a port in the back, so it's very interesting. I got to say that these are very large. They don't look so big here in the video, but if you look behind them, they extend about 12 inches back, and they're about 14 inches tall, and they're not small. They're very nicely made. They're pretty solid. They have real wood veneers, so they look beautiful. They're very, very pretty speakers, that's for sure. We tried these out with many different types of music, and what we found is that I think maybe the 70s type of music, like a Paul McCartney style of music, really suits these speakers. It's very soft. They have a little bit of a treble that's a bit tilted up, but in the way that it's not too harsh. And I know that others who have reviewed this have sort of also mentioned some of the same characteristics, but I would say that when you play certain music with these, it really depends on the music. When you play, I've noticed when I played higher pitched style of music or voices that are slightly higher pitched, they tend they can sound shrill. Of course, that also depends on the amp that you're using. Right here we have a Cayenne 220C amp. It's a really nice neutral sounding amp, so it's overall it's a good. They're good speakers, I would say. They put out a ton of sound, I would say. They're excellent for the price. I think they ranged originally in the 500 US type of range. In terms of their woofer, they have a really nice woofer. They have a very nice tweeter as well. I think it's a dome tweeter. It's a fabric dome type of tweeter. I'm not 100% sure. They also go down to about 40 to 50 hertz, but I've tested them. They go down even further to around 40 hertz. Generally, I would say that these are easygoing, easy to listen to speakers. They're not going to blow you away with the amount of detail and the highs. They're gonna give you enough during the music, but it's not going to be like analytical type of critical listening type of highs. It's kind of like you're laying back and you're enjoying to listen to music, and that's what these bring you, a very enjoyable experience. In the mids, they're pretty capable in the mids. I would say that's one of their strengths is the mids. I would say that they were really good. Voices came through really nicely. They very strong in the mids. The lows, pretty impressive, I have to say. They do have some kick. Again, if you feed them with good power, they have a much better kick. And generally, I would say that they're overall a very enjoyable speaker. They're not going to be super detailed. They're not going to be super. It's not meant for that. They're really these speakers appear to be more aimed at just an. You want to sit back, listen to some tunes? I would recommend these wholeheartedly. They're excellent. I reviewed other speakers here. For example, I'll compare them to the KEF Q150s that I have. I would of course take the KEF Q150s, even though they're at a lower price point in many places. Here in Canada, they are at a lower price point than these originally were, I believe. And yet the KEFs are, in comparison, I would say slightly less prone to accentuating the highs when the music has a bit of a higher pitch. There are also, the KEFs seem to drive, even though they're rated at 50 hertz, the KEF Q150 can drive pretty low. I mean, these are about 10-year-old speakers now in terms of when they came out. I would also say that the KEFs, even though they're smaller, they just have a bit of a bigger, they just feel like they got a fuller bass. So that's something to keep in mind. These have a much more punchy, kind of not as deep, but they have a much more, like, they seem very fast, the bass on these. And when it comes to busier types of music, they actually don't do too bad. I would call them, I was calling it, I had a certain name with a quotient attached to this busyness in the music. When the music has a lot of different things going on, these are able to contend with that. So overall, I would give these a pretty good rating. These speakers, they're very well made. I wish that they had come with magnetic grills. That would have been nicer because they have pegs, and for such a beautifully made speaker, it would have been nice to have magnetic. Later on, you'll see that I'll review the Monitor Audio Silver 100s, and those have magnetic grills. Although you don't really want to put grills on those, they just look beautiful all the way around. So that's basically it, I would say, for this review. If you saw a pair of these on the used market, I wouldn't hesitate. They're pretty good. If you just want a pair of speakers, you know, for vinyl, even for, you know, hook up your DAC to your amp and play through some general just music listening every day. They're excellent everyday use speakers, and that's, I'm guessing that's probably what they're for. They have very strong reviews all the way around, so I can also recommend them. They're excellent. But I would say just a step below some of the more, I would call, articulate. I mean, I reviewed the Kefs. I reviewed some Energy speakers on here. If you want to compare directly to a similar sized speaker, you know, I reviewed earlier the JBL S26, and the JBL S26, I believe, is from 1999, so they're even older than these, probably by about 13, 14 years, and they're comparable, but I would still say the S26, the titanium tweeters from JBL, really can get some of that detail out without being shrill. And the S26s are about 2 inches taller, but I tell you, they can dig deep on bass. They're really impressive. These go down. I've got them down to 40 hertz. They do play that low. They're pretty good for a 6.5 inch woofer. It's not bad at all. Very pleasant sounding. There's nothing wrong. You can't. These would not hurt. It would not hurt you to get these speakers. They're very enjoyable. So that's my review, and I'm going to be playing a sample of these speakers. Their sound, of course, this is not meant for you to make any sort of decision. Just to give you an idea when you compare maybe against some other speakers on this channel. Again, this is Revive Hi-Fi Canada, and we like to do reviews and just get you familiarized with this excellent hobby that we all enjoy here on our channel, and that we've been involved in for several years, looking at different types of amps and speakers and pairings. We're going to talk about different pairings in the upcoming videos. We're going to talk a lot about amps as well in the upcoming videos and receivers. So keep tuning in. If you enjoy what we put on our station or on our channel, please subscribe. And thank you very much. Over and out.